Okay, folks, here we go.
Guys, here we go. Let's have a good show.
1B, stand by. Okay,
Yeah.
gas that.
Yeah,
Take it.
take it at midfield. Just go
Take
right
it.
now.
Take
Go to
it.
camera
Well,
3. Go to the gate. Perfect, just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, graphics 2 is going to be up for the first. Okay. Go
Go
right now. Go to camera 3. Go. Yep. Go to the gate. Perfect, just like that. No music.
I'm going to hand to Q. Sophie.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
On radio in the Canal Zone.
All right, guys, mic check.
Go ready.
Okay, Ricky, mic.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
1B, stand by.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Okay, and go for it, guys.
Right, and we're live. It's 8 p.m. Eastern Time, March 28th, almost the last day of the month. Happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club, and here we are. Ricky, what's going on, man? Happy Friday to you, man. Look at this guy. He's got an audience now. He's got an audience when he comes on the air. Isn't that amazing? He's got a crowd.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Willie. I'm always grateful to be on this show, guys. It is Friday, like Willie said, 5 p.m. out here in the Pacific. And like always, hello, and welcome to the SCN Canal Zone Happy Hour at the Balboa Yacht Club podcast. Guys, it's a show that it's all about the Panama Canal, which is worldwide news right now, and the Canal Zone way of life. A show, Willie, that always starts with a toast to our guests and our audience. Thank you very much.
My green screen made it disappear, but here you go. Happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club with Manchester United. Salute.
Salud, hermano. As you guys know, Willie and I, both born and raised in the Canal Zone, and we're proud to bring you this weekly show and episodes of, at the beginning of the month, which is next week, the history of the Canal Zone. And that's not just the history of the construction. That's a history of everything that was going on either side of the construction. We always bring you up the latest in the Zonian community, such as our reunions and our luncheons and our picnics and our golf games, etc. And we also bring you the latest geopolitical news and the latest bochinche on the social events.
Indeed we do.
Indeed we do. And we also have these great segments that we also provide you guys with, such as the Kahoot segment, which is becoming our favorite. That's one where everybody participates. We have a Panama Facts segment where Willie really gets into it and lets us know about certain provinces, which tonight we'll be doing Darien.
Yeah, made in Panama.
Made in Panama. We have a short segment called Que Pasa, which is kind of like an announcement. And then we've got a couple of new segments coming up. One, which all you guys have seen before, which is Andrew Eftimitis doing the Canal segment.
The Panama Canal Report.
Panama Canal Report. And we have a brand new one coming up soon, our own Anthony Bourdain segment with our very own Jason Graitidis. He will be exploring restaurants in the Canal Zone for you guys to get up to date on what's happening on the food.
That's right. Our own Zonian foodie, along with Jack Whitlock. Matt Tomlin will be joining him as well. Tomlin, on occasion, will be joining as well. So that should be a lot of fun for the way these guys do it. It's going to be some good food recommendations with some lighthearted fun as well, because Zonians always have to do things the Zonian way. So that should be a lot of fun. We're excited to do that. What is it? It's called Sabor Patrol en la 507. All right, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. I'm looking forward to it. A lot more of us going down to Panama on occasion. We have that upcoming reunion here next year. The Canal Zone reunion, of course, continues to grow quite a bit, and so when you get down there, you want to try some different places, different eateries, and so we're gonna have some recommendations coming straight from a Zonian that we all know and like and trust. And so, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. But let's say hello to some people here before you finish up our intro there. So, Rich, saludos, man. Good to see you on here again as well. Jill, happy Friday to you as well. Fridays just come quickly now, man. They're awesome. And, the only thing that's interesting about Fridays, at work, everybody likes to go out on Friday nights, and have a few drinks before heading home. And I'm like, I can't, man. I got things I got to get set up here to come out and everything.
Priorities.
But it is, because you know what? We get to have our own happy hour here at the Balboa Yacht Club anyway. So nonetheless, we enjoy it. But anyhow, good to see you, Jill. Leaf, saludos. Good to see you as well.
Hola, Leaf.
Yep.
My
Paul and
neighbor.
Nancy often. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Another happy Friday night there. And then, of course, our Canal's own idol, if there was ever such a show, Mark Cicero is an amazing talent there for writing some really home felt lyrics. And of course, if you haven't already, guys, go to YouTube and look up Panama Days. It's an amazing song. It really brings it home. It's also on Spotify and a couple other things. And even though we're going to jump the gun a little here, but happy birthday, Mark. Mark celebrated a birthday a few days ago, so he's certainly on our list there. But anyway, good to see you there, Mark.
Good to see you, Mark. And
Jason
listen,
should
that
have his own
song,
cooking show. Oh, dale.
warn everybody, that song's gonna make you dance. So if you're embarrassed to dance or whatever, make sure you go into a room. But that song will make you dance and sing too, by the way.
Sorry about that. Thank God
That's
for the
all
mute
right.
button. No, it's a very catchy tune. You'll listen to that,
I love
and
it.
because the video, not to brag, but the video is really cool. There's a lot of great visuals there. You'll listen to it again and again, and pretty soon you'll catch yourself singing it. My wife even sings it, right? She's not a Zonian, but she sings it. So, yeah, Jason should have his own cooking show. Jason, if you don't know this, guys, follow him on Instagram. He posts a ton of food, and most of it is stuff he makes. It's not, out in
He
the
makes
restaurant
up,
thing.
correct. He's not following like a traditional recipe. This guy creates it from
Yeah.
his Panamanian background, his Greek background,
His Zonian background.
Zonian background. Yeah, so there's a big fusion and mix of stuff that comes
Yeah.
on, and he does it with so much love too. I'm telling you.
And that's
I've
the
been
thing about it.
liking
You
his
hit it on the
stuff
head
a
right there.
daily base. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Right
has a
on,
passion
Jason.
for the food, so and it's going to showcase on talking about the different places. And some of these places aren't going to be your 4 and 5 star restaurants, okay? Because as we all know, if you ever travel overseas anywhere, some of your best eateries out there are those hole in the wall places. I remember years ago I went to Vancouver, and of course Vancouver, there's a ton of Chinese, a ton of Asians there, and I went with John Underhill. And my wife,
good
and
guy.
she ended up flying back early, and so John and I stayed out there a couple more days, and we're like, let's go get some Chinese food, but get something authentic. And we went off the beaten path, literally off the main road, and found a place that, thank God, they had pictures, because everything was in Chinese there. It certainly wasn't a place for Canadians or Americans. It was for Chinese. But let me tell you what, man, that was the best Chinese food I've ever had. It was the real thing. It was
What? Over
Yeah.
Lung Fu, Ray King, Ray Kun?
Yeah, well, Long Foon probably, I do. Long Foon did have a unique taste to them that was, that even to this day I still remember it, and gosh, it's been
No, I'm
probably.
only kidding. Not greasy. I'm sorry. I should
No,
have said-
no, they had good food. It was,
Yeah,
and
it's
always had the
definitely good,
jokes
man.
about, what it was and everything. But at the end of the day, if you paid 25 cents for a meat on a stick on 4th of July at 2 a.m, and you're worried about what a restaurant serving, so I'm sorry, but I'm not buying that one. But
You know what?
nonetheless,
I'll bet you, Willie. You know how Zonians rarely get stomach issues, I bet you it's because
Right.
we developed this antibacteria from eating all that carne en palito back in
it
the day.
is. Listen,
Nothing affects us.
very similar analogy for those of you that have more than one kid. Okay, your first kid, as they get older, is the one that gets sick all the time, because with that one, everything is sterilized. Oh, sterilize this. By the third kid, that shit falls on the floor. Clean it back in their mouth. They play with dirt and everything, and you know what? They never get sick. So mark my words, man. Growing up in the zone, eating off the streets in Panama you're right, man. It built up our constitution, man.
Yes, absolutely. I think so.
Yeah, it
Not if I
certainly
didn't mean to
did.
interrupt, man.
No,
Sorry,
it's
sorry.
all good. It's all good. But we have a lot of people chiming in, which is awesome, because we got a lot of
Right
people
on.
talking about some food here, which is cool. So Jason, I know he's having his martini, kicking back, watching tonight, and Get ready, Papa, because there's a lot of people
Well,
going
let
to
me
want to
tell
watch
you,
this
let,
show,
let the
man.
audience know he's working really hard at this.
He is.
He's not doing this, nilly willy. He's focused. He's got the right
Yeah, he's
equipment.
not half-assing it at all. Yeah, he's
Yeah, I know.
invested in some good equipment, some gimbals, and some mics and stuff.
hmm
So it's
hmm
going to be a fun show. In fact, just prior to the show, he was asking us some questions about some ideas that he has. So he's excited to do it, and he should be, because the guy is a foodie. He, without a doubt, he's a foodie, and to have our own Zonian foodie
I
reviewing
like calling
Panama
him.
food I think it's a great combination.
Me too,
You
Willie. I
know.
love calling him the Anthony Bourdain of the canals.
Yeah, he is. He is. But yeah, good to see you up there. Hola, boys. Good to see you as well.
Oh
Leaf.
yes, next week. Next week isn't that our historian? He always never uses his name, so he uses like his code.
Yeah, we have. Oh, and by the way, speaking of course, next week we have our Canals One historian, Dave Dahlstrom.
David
But
Dahlstrom to next week.
next month, or actually next month, we're already in April, but the following month in May, we just lined up a gentleman by the name of Nodier Garcia. He's chimed in on the chat here a couple of times.
Yes.
He's a Panama Railroad huge, a super fan, I guess you
Historian.
could call it, and he's very much a historian. He posts a lot on Instagram. If you look up PRR History on Instagram, great pictures of
Mhm.
railroads, certainly
Mhm.
old and new, and everything in between. But it's going to be a lot of fun learning about the railroads. So in May, we're going to have back-to-back history shows, because Dave will be on the first week. And then, of course, as soon as Ricky's read his rights here from when they busted in the door here, the cops, then we'll. Oh, never mind, they're gone now. But
I live in a big city, guys. So
yeah,
ambulancia all day
that's
long,
it.
policia,
Yeah, no.
car
He does,
alarms.
man. He does. If you look on the
Sorry.
map and Ricky's at it, he is right there in downtown, man.
Yeah, I live downtown Julie Brown, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm excited for that show, man, because I've been wanting to do something with the railroads for a while. Hopefully maybe we can get Tommy Morris on, or at least maybe he can share some stuff from the current Panama railroads. Maybe we even get Eddie Dolan to chime in, because
I know.
his
Those guys
grandfather
are
was a
tough.
conductor on the railroad, and I found a picture on an old spillway of Eddie Dolan when he was a young kid. I mean, gosh, he couldn't have been more than 7, 8 years old. And he was, on Sundays, he would put on his conductor uniform and work with his grandpa, and just, collect tickets and stamp them, or clip them, or whatever it was on the railroad, going
Yep.
from ocean to ocean as a little kid. So that'll be a fun story to hear about. Happy birthday, Mark. Yeah, he's going to get to wish him happy birthday here in just a bit with everyone else. Laura, good to see you, and hope you're feeling
Laura
better.
Classic, right on,
Yep.
Laura.
Laura's been a little bit under the weather, so little prayers for you there, that you continue to feel better. Right on, Guy. Yeah, absolutely. Hope you feel better. And here's my dad chiming in. He's got it to work. He's watching the show on TV, and then he's got on his computer to be able to chime in. I had to give him a little last second tech support there, but we got it working. So good to see Dad here. And Leaf Lung Fung Dio. Listen, Lung Fung was a good restaurant, man. They had good food there, man. They have MSG probably. I would think so, but I don't know. Did they use that stuff back then?
I've never heard that terminology. That is hilarious.
That is pretty good, Leaf. That was very good. It was good food. I don't. My memories of the zone of growing up there, Lung Fung was definitely
respect.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah. So,
but there was one called Ray Coon that was also good.
I don't remember that one.
It was on, because it was on the way to my grandmother's house. That's why we always went around there. You remember where Mauricio's Sport used to be? Mauricio's? Well, we got all our cleats.
Well, I remember that, but I'm trying to remember where, because I remember getting mine in Albrook, but Mauricio.
Well, no, this one had Adidas, Pumas. That's where my parents would take me. Okay, you know where the La Catedral is? What's it called?
Van Via España?
Yeah. So
Okay.
one way you go towards the Panama Hotel is the other way, about 2 blocks down. And there
Okay,
was that.
so it was on Via España.
Yeah, it was on Via España. So like
Okay.
a little bit more down that way.
Yeah, I probably remember going there. Maybe, I'm sure, as a kid. But I remember when they opened the one in Albrook at the mall. I guess the manager there was a friend of my mom, so we would always go there. He would always hook us up with a good deal on cleats.
Yeah, my family was into Chinese food, man. We always ate there on Sundays.
Right on. Howdy, Buggo 20. I'm sorry, who is Buggo 20? I always
Howdy,
feel bad
Will.
Yep, not sure who that is, but
It's all righty. You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you. Laura, thank you guys. Went to hospital at 40% now. All right. Well, hey, 65 is better
Well,
than 40, but we'll
yeah,
continue to say a prayer for
Randy's
you.
got to step it up. I don't
Hey,
have to
Rambi,
call
cuida la
Randy.
pela, loco.
Hey, Randy, vamos a
She,
dar. Hey,
la vida,
Randy
loco.
used to take care of my blind side, so he knows how to take care of
I
stuff.
know. All right. Step up, Papa. Take,
Excellent
take,
left
take care of
tackle.
the lady. But yeah, glad to hear that you're doing better, Laura, and glad to see you saying hello to us. But get your rest and enjoy. You'll have to cheers with like orange juice or milk or something. But
All right. Bueno,
anyway,
Willie.
so back to your intro there, Ricky, because that was a bit of an intro.
Nah, we're done with that intro, man. That was done 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, no,
Just
that
kidding,
was
just
good
kidding.
stuff. We love chatting with you guys. That's what makes the show to me a lot of fun.
Yeah, we
And
love
truth
that
is,
part.
and even when we have guests on, and their topics, a lot of times their engagement is what makes even the guest appearance more fun.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they remind them of stories, and it's not always about them and us. It's about them and you
Yeah.
guys at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. This show's about you guys, so engaging you guys, and you know, in between our segments, we love it, man. And if it
Yeah,
goes long, bueno, really, it goes long. But we do have to move on. We got to get into the bochinche, and
yeah,
then we have the Panama segment. Fun facts of Panama tonight with Dottie Yang. And there's
yeah,
a reason why we're picking this because Dottie has been the new up and coming place the whole world has their eyes on, and I
yeah.
mean the
For
whole
different reasons now, but it's
and
been in
for
the news
different
for a long
reasons.
time. But it's
There are
um,
because it's such a jungle, such a mysterious place. It can't just be one reason, man. It's coming in
yeah.
from all directions, from the
Yeah,
Far
and
East, from the
and that place
South.
has such a rich history. It's some interesting things that. Well, I'm going to wait to say them here in just a bit because it'll be part of the segment there. But they do have a rich history as not just for Panama, but even for the Spaniards.
Oh yeah,
a lot of
not a
firsts in
first,
America
yeah.
that started with that, and then of course it's going in the news. And then the other reason we're doing this is to start kind of teasing uh, a, a guest or two guests that are going to be joining us on April 11th. So in two
Don't want to miss
weeks,
that.
and that's
Don't
going to
want
be
to
a
miss
great
that.
show. One person that most of you guys know, Matt Tomlin's going to join us, and he's a fantastic artist, but he's also quite the fisherman, and I would venture to say he's quite the adventurer. Right, he's quite the Zonian adventurer, and so he's going to join us to talk about stuff that's going on in the Darien and what he's seen around there recently as well. Some big projects that are in the works there, along with a friend of his and a friend of mine, Michael Yon. Michael Yon is
He's
uh,
gonna be on our show.
he's an Army Ranger who has a several shows online and several chats that he does. He was a war correspondent. He's been all over the world and
Yeah.
he spent a lot of time in Darien. He's written several books about it. So he's going to join us as well. I'm really excited for that because he's got a lot of great stories there with some different stories and different angles on some of the things that have gone on in the Darien and what could be potentially what the Darians is in our future. So it'll be interesting to see, and of course, having Matt on as well is going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. But that's kind of one of the reasons why we're going to start, you know, building that up and get a more clear understanding of what the Darien is. And we grow up uh, always knowing Darien as a inhospitable place, right? As a place that is
I mean,
you know
we grew up with even thinking of there were like people that ate human. Remember that? Like the Indians would
yes.
eat you if you went out there and mined their gold.
It has always been known as a
Well,
very
we grew up
treacherous
with.
place. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and think of, we've always known of the Pan American Highway, and it
yeah.
goes all the way from northern Alaska to all the way in southern Chile and Argentina. And yet there's one strip that has never been completed. And
Conquered.
that
Never
was
been conquered.
never
The
been
word.
conquered. I mean, the people have tried to conquer that since way back in the day, and yet it hasn't happened. So we're going to learn some things about that and understand that obviously at some point there's nowhere on earth that's not going to be conquered. I mean, heck, we've gone to Mount Everest, we've gone to the lowest trenches there, we've gone to Antarctica, or as some people call it, the Wall. We've gone to all places around the world, and yet Darien, in in the
The
middle
last
of
of
the
the
Western
Mohicans.
Hemisphere is somehow still, a mystery to a lot of people, and a lot of things on there are still not accessible. So, but
So
things are
yeah.
changing, and they're
Well, we're
changing in a
going to
big
start
way.
informing you guys about
Yes,
this
for
great,
sure.
great land
So,
called Darien. I mean, it's truly the future of Panama's growth because
right,
the amount of natural resources there are unbelievable.
right on, right on.
Karen
So,
Martino, my cousin. Hello, Karen.
yes,
I love you so much.
absolutely. Well, congrats on your first time catching us live. Awesome. Well, hello to you, and happy Friday. Salute. We'll just have to have a little toast for that.
A little
Salute
toast
for
of my cousin
yes,
on the
of course.
Ledesma side.
That's two family members watching the show now. We're loving that.
Yes.
So, but anyhow, again, we're gonna get this next segment going with our favorite tune here to kick off all the gossip and things going on in Panama. So here we go, Ricky.
El bochinche, 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 el bochinche.
There you go. There's El Bochinche. There you go.
Oh,
Look
wait,
at
wait,
it.
we're back. Sorry.
Yes, we are back. It's like
I'll
three,
tell you,
two,
man. I'm
one.
always dancing to that song.
It is. And before we get into your bochinche, don't forget, guys, like and subscribe on the channel. I always forget to do that. That's one of those things that everybody's supposed to do to grow their YouTube channel. So share the channel as well, but definitely subscribe to it so we can get those memberships, not memberships, but subscriptions up because that helps the YouTube algorithm. So if you haven't done it, make sure you click on that subscribe and then share it. Let other people know to join us live or watch them recorded. But yeah, please do that because it does help us out with the YouTube algorithm. So, but anyway, Ricky, what do you got for? By the way, guys, what are your thoughts on my new background here? I know that I've got some funky thing going on with the green screen and this headset. I'm going to try and get a different headset that doesn't get in the way there, but something different, something a little catchy there with the floating icons and whatnot. But let me know your thoughts on that. I'm just fooling around with a couple different things here, but anyhow, dale pues.
Dale, pues. Well, guys, we're going to have a two-part bochinche. First, the social part. And then, again, because this is mandatory, we're going to get into the geopolitical part of our bochinche segment.
Yep, that's
Which
it.
happens to be my favorite part. But anyway,
Of course, no coincidence there.
Yeah, I do want to start off with the
Hold
Panama
on.
Canal.
We got to acknowledge Juan Thompson. Raz, no sé, tú eres familia, loco. ¿Qué pasó, loco?
Guapi,
Ya
Juan.
la
Last week
vida,
we
loco.
gave you so much love.
No, I guess we have to do this every time now. All
No,
right,
listen. Our guests, we will address you guys before our show all the time.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
So
you guys come
we
first.
love you guys, man. We do love you guys. Well, here we go, guys. We're going to start off with the Panama Canal Society, which we love to give them love, but it seems like we just been doing so many other things that we never mention them. There is a huge luncheon coming up tomorrow, guys. The
yes,
29th.
which, by the way, I cannot make it. Part of it was I dropped the ball. I completely forgot to sign up, and registration had closed. But I've got some other things that had come up. But I was gonna, I got to get down there and make one of these functions eventually. I talk about it enough times, and I got to show up for these, and especially this one because it's the Panama Canal Museum collection. I really would have enjoyed watching that talk and saying hello to some people, and maybe get some footage for the show. So anybody that does attend, if you don't mind, shoot some things, maybe get somebody on camera to say hello or something and send it to me in Messenger or something so we can acknowledge it. But great time there. And even if you're not able to attend it, check them out. Pan Canal Society, or no, the Panama Canal Museum Collection. Okay, that's part of the University of Florida. In fact, I believe we have their link up here. Here we go.
Excuse me.
So this one is actually where their spillway issues are. But nonetheless, this place, oh, here it is. So this website here, guys, has an incredible collection of Canal Zone memorabilia. It has all the spillway issues. Remember the spillway newspaper that came out every Friday? They have them all digitized in high quality, too. I mean, you can zoom in and see everything, read all the articles, see the pictures, because a lot of us were in there. A lot of our friends and family and neighbors were. Zone was a small community, hence what we do here. And so they really have a great collection of that. All the yearbooks going all the way back to the 1920s are in that Panama Canal Museum collection. Again, digitized at really high quality, maps, videos, you name it. They have it there. It's a It's an amazing collection, and those guys, as much as we brag about the society and what they do to keep this Canal Zone story going, the truth of the matter is, the society is a group of members that grew up in the zone, and it's a finite number there. But what the museum collection does is going to be there in perpetuity, right? The writings, the videos, and hopefully at some point, as we get more interviews with, like we've had with Al Sprague and these guys, love to have those in that collection there as well for somebody, 100, 200 years from now that wants to read about the history of this place called the Canal Zone, are able to check that out the same way that we are. So that being said, guys, $26 a year is all it takes to support the Pan Canal Museum collection. So check them out and go and make a donation, because this is a donation to teach your great grandchildren about your life down in the zone, and it's really a small amount for what they really do. It's a really high quality operation. So definitely check them out. And again, my apologies for not being able to make it down there, but I just totally dropped the ball on that. I completely forgot to register. So yeah, congrats, Will. Way to go. Way to forget, dumbass. So anyway, yeah, Yvonne, I wish I could go down there and see you guys. And who knows? Maybe I'll parachute my way.
Inform our guests what the whole luncheon's all about. Listen, tomorrow it starts about 11 a.m. It's down at the University of Florida campus. At maybe Willie knows exactly where it is. But with some of the things they're going to be having there, guys, it's going to be pretty interesting. Not only is there a luncheon, but there's also going to be a meeting, what they call a membership meeting.
Right.
And then on top of that, there's going to be a few cool things happening as well. They have this new exhibition at the Panama Canal Gallery, which is something that Willie and I have been talking about that we're going to be doing on this show. But this exhibition is about the employees of the Canal Zone, such as the ship transit and the guys that did the ship transit, such as the ad measurers, pilots, line handlers, lock masters, tug upper operators, traffic controllers. So it's an exhibition about them. So you see a lot of pictures about those guys and what they did in the Canal Zone. So that's going to be, and then future exhibitions are going to cover things like the police, the teachers, and the fire department, which is, nice. If you grew up in the Canal Zone, those were the top.
Yeah.
And then below them came, Canal Zone government, lawyers, captains, etc., pilots, etc. But the police, the teachers, and the fire department were tops in the Canal Zone. And then they're also going to do one on the Canal Zone government management positions, an exhibition on them, the top guys that ran the Panama Canal during our times, which they did such a great job, but in a silent way, Willie, because we never, ever heard anything about them.
Right.
Today, you hear all day long about the administrator and the board of directors, etc. But during our time,
they were there to do a job.
Yeah, I don't remember being any kind of bochincha going on.
Nope.
But anyways, guys, there's going to be an online version of this exhibition, which you can find where the same email address, website address that Willie posted, and it's at the end, instead of the / after edu/exhibits, and then you'll get the online version. Something else that's going on at this, Willie, at this luncheon is they're going to have the silent auction. If you remember at the last reunion, that was a success, man. That was one of my favorite things. Well, they're going to have one as well. So, guys, if you go to that website, you can look up Carol Miller and Kathy Egoff. They're the ones that are the ones you coordinate for the silent auction.
There you go.
Or the version of the exhibit. So guys, that's what's happening tomorrow with the Canal Zone Society. Don't miss it. If you're not going to the luncheon, that's fine. Just come afterwards and hang out with the Zonians. We have a whole bunch of them. Now, something that's coming up. So that's one of the things coming up, March 39th. April, I think we have some
March 39th?
Sorry, 29th. One of the things we do have in April, I think, is golf tournaments, but we don't have much from the Canal Society or from, Alex Reyes' group. But on May, even though we're a little early, May 3rd, there's a big Panama Canal Society event coming up called love the name, Gulf Coast Spring Fling Pool Party.
That is correct.
Free for, yeah, man, we love it. We love it. Anyways, this has been, it's going to be in Palmetto, Florida, in, like I said, May 3rd, and it's being hosted by none other than our Kelly Morris,
There you go.
Cheryl Williams, and Dixie Barons. You guys, there's going to be a beautiful pool there, like a resort type pool. There's going to be billiards for everybody to play. There's going to be pickleball. You don't want to miss it. So we're going to start announcing it now early because we want you guys to get ready. Go check it out in Palmetto. Kelly Morris knows how to throw a party. That girl's been been an expert since she was like in 9th grade. And I know because I grew up with the girl. Actually, I hung out with Kelly in 1st grade. We went to 1st grade together. And we sat next to each other too. Wow, Kelly, man. That's one girl I've known a long, long time.
All right.
Hey, a little toast to her. And
Yeah, there you go. Salute, Kelly.
Canal's own community.
And by the way, if you ever need any help in Florida with any real estate, that's who you reach out to. Compass Collection, Kelly, and also her daughter Rachel, Kelly Fenton, Rachel Fenton. Look them up, and they'll take good care of you. Yes, absolutely. So
great name.
Definitely check them out. And they can help you if you're looking to do something in Panama, which, by the way, another announcement coming up also in May. We have some great shows, some great guests coming up in May. For those of you who don't know, Richard MacArthur, Dickie MacArthur, recently moved back to Panama. Okay, relocated back to Panama from the States, retired, and
Wait,
living.
There's probably 3 people who don't know him, Willie.
I know, right? Indeed. He is quite the popular Zonian, and he's been posting a lot about his return to Panama. I mean, he is certainly enjoying his life down there and enjoying all the frills of retiring and being jubilado, living down there. He's got a house on the beach and just a great story. He's going to join us along with Pedro Peñalver, who's a realtor down in Panama and helps a lot of people. He actually is with a company that was one of the pioneers, you could say, of the relocation for the expats. And so they're going to be joining us to talk about, going back to Panama, what it's like, from somebody that helps people do that and somebody that just recently did it and has gone through all of that of getting the paperwork, getting a house, getting a car, getting a license. I mean, all of that stuff. So that should be a really fun show. Again, April and May, we've got a lot of exciting guests. So stay tuned. We're going to start putting that together. Ricky and I are going to work on some videos and stuff to get the word out because there's a lot of really exciting shows coming up, man. I'm pumped up for it,
especially my age group. A lot of people are starting to get close to that 63 to 65 where you retire and then move back and enjoy your life savings. Right. But anyways, guys, moving on. As we talked last week, as you know, we had the Kiwanis on, and that was a great show. A lot of people have watched it, and so thanks a lot for those guys coming on. But tomorrow. Yes. As well in Panama, for all the people in Panama, tomorrow the Kiwani Football League, which is what we used to know as Little League plus varsity, are having their kickoff party at the Bio Museum, which is the Frank Gehry Design Museum on the way to the Causeway, right at the entrance. Panama got that architect. I mean, this guy's. You're lucky to get his architecture, believe me.
Now, isn't that where the old Amador Officers Club was?
In that area, I think it was like where the field was, not where the building was.
Oh,
the field behind
it?
Yes,
right past
there.
That. Okay.
Yeah, that's where they are. Yeah, beautiful architecture. Anyway, so they have their big kickoff party. You guys in Panama, if you want to go check it. Actually, you can't go check it out, but we want to mention it anyways. And for the simple reason, it's their 53rd anniversary. Now, remember, last week we had the guys that started that league. On our show. So it's their 53rd, and I feel a lot of pride being a Balboa Ram that we had something to do with, that DNA.
Oh, certainly.
That's in Panama, Panamanian DNA, that's his football. And people don't understand that about our country. Our teams go to the United States and whoop them.
Right.
I mean, when Panama goes to play in the States, it's not like the soccer league, even though we're getting a lot better, that Panama doesn't get that respect in soccer. But in Little League football, listen, every year, Willie, Panama participates in the Pop Warner Football Championship in Orlando, Florida. Yeah. Every year. They get in.
Listen,
He's
there's
one of the
something
top
about
rated.
they are there's a pedigree and a football DNA that transferred over after the Canal Zone ended, right? That started. If you look at again going back to the Band Canal Museum collection, go look at the yearbooks from the 1950s. Okay, they were playing football. The Balboa Bulldogs were playing football back then. So by the time the Canal Zone ended, there was 30 plus years of football being played down there and really high level football, and I think you take the Zonian. If you look at our lives, and I laugh about this a lot, talking to my wife about it here, who's obviously a statesider, and my kids. At When I lived on Barnaby Street, okay, Tony DeLuca lived behind me. I was 5 years old, okay, because when I moved to Amador Road is when I went into first grade, and living in Barnaby Street, Saturday mornings, my brother, myself, and Tony would head up to the jungle with Odin, our Irish setter. And we would spend hours there. And I'm thinking, holy cow, I would never let my kids at 5 years old do that stuff, and run off into the woods like that. But that was how we were raised. We were raised with this grit and this toughness and this adventure that carried over, I think, into sports. And I think football especially was one that as kids we were already had that extra agility and just that bravado and everything else, because we grew up in a zone, man. So it really was. It's not a surprise that we were dominant in sports at those younger ages, because a limited number of people, and yet we had a high quality, you know, upbringing, for lack of a better term, man.
Correct, we did, and 53 years of football, so that's what
Yeah.
the anniversary is celebrating. Now, this party, it's like it's like a kickoff party where they hand out the jerseys to all the kids, and you know how exciting that is. And they also have this thing called preseason MVP candidates, where they let the public know who the good players are, so people are interested to come and watch the
Wow.
games, which I think is
amazing.
pretty cool. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
It's taking it
Then
high level there, man.
Yeah, that's kind of high level. Remember, these kids get drafted too,
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. Now, last week, I think it was Leaf or one of our guests asked, who are the teams now playing in this league?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to call it the way we know it. I know it's different. They have 4 divisions, but kind of like the way we grew up. Lightweight. When I grew up, there was middleweights, heavyweights, and then varsity, right? It's the same kind of thing, but they have different names. I think they got like meanies, juvenile, I forget. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing, right? Lightweight, heavyweight, varsity. All right. Some of the teams, of course, the Colts, the Kiwani Colts. Balboa now is called the Balboa Dragons, but they're still blue and white like the Balboa Rams. Some of the new teams, La Salle Spartans, which is, of course, La Salle should have a football team.
Big school.
Yeah, a school, I believe it's called the International School. And they have the champion team. They're called the Fighting Owls. Those guys are the well-trained, the well-coached, the pretty boys. They win a lot of championships. They have another one called El Colegio de Panama, the Mighty Eagles. I don't know where that is. Maybe our guests can help us and on the comments let us know where Colegio de Panama is. But they're called the Mighty Eagles. And then there's another one, which I hope our audience can help us, called the CRP Lions. When in my opinion, that means Colón something, because, how the Atlantic side was always the Tigers.
Yeah.
So I bet it's the Cristobal side, the Lions, CRP Lions.
Cristobal Panama Lions or something?
Something like that,
Interesting.
yeah, I would say. But they're the Lions. And then the Brader Raiders, who are all the Roots family plays for that team.
Okay.
So they've been champions. Every time there's a Root quarterback, and those guys are champs.
Yeah, right. That's certainly a pedigree there.
Yeah, Brader, which is the school. So, Willie, a lot of these are schools that have teams, and then they play for those schools. So that's the leagues are 7 teams. When we grew up, we had 4 teams. Well, my senior year, we did have 5 varsity teams because it was the only time we had the Kiwanis play varsity. But 7 teams, guys. So anyways, that league starts next week. And congratulations.
Yes,
Willie, I was really
done.
happy you put that together and got those Kiwanis on.
That was a lot of fun.
Great show. Those boys did a good job.
They did.
And I really thank them, man. Really,
No,
cheers
I
to
was,
you, Kiwanis,
yeah,
man.
that was awesome. I appreciate these guys taking the time to join us. Especially this being a Canal Zone show. It's not really a Panama show, but there was, as you can tell, there was a lot of love and a lot of respect. As much
Yeah,
as we were
for sure.
considered big adversaries, the truth of the matter was we were football players, and we were,
Yep.
that was just a rival of ours. But and having Coach Nakio on as well to give us his perspective up, because remember, he's a BHS graduate from back in the day as well. So
72?
so he had a
72?
good perspective of the zone as well. That was interesting to see. CRP Lions is Colegio Real de Condado del Rey area. Okay, there you go, Henry. Listen, hey guys, Henry, I watched both of the shows of yours, Mr. Island. Really
Condado del
well
Rey?
done, man. Yeah,
Where's
Condado del
that?
Rey. We're gonna have to find out.
Okay. Hey, yeah, I saw the show too. Excellent job, my friend. Excellent
It
job. That's a
was.
Zonian, by the way. That's a Zonian. doing that.
Yes, very
All right.
impressed, man. So
Yeah.
well
All right.
done.
Sticking to the social agenda this week, Willie, what we had in Panama, which was the 40th anniversary of Expo Comer. Now, that's been around since we were living down there.
Yeah, at
Now,
Atlapa.
in Atlapa, yes. These guys, it's 30 countries, Willie, show up to this convention.
Right.
Probably not in Atlapa. I think they got a bigger convention now over by
Okay.
the Causeway in Amador. Well, you're probably right. I don't know. It's either one of the two, but you're right. It used to always be at Atlapa. 600 companies, guys. $150 million worth of transactions happen on that Expo Comer.
Wow.
And about $50 million stay in the local economy. So, guys, this is a great event that Panama throws. And at that event, of course, the president was seen there, Molino, our favorite, as well, Willie, as the U.S. Embassy. The United States had a booth at this convention.
Oh, very good.
And this is hilarious. Guess who was representing the U.S.?
Oh,
U.S. Dairy Export Council.
Oh, there you go.
We need our eggs. Send us eggs.
There you go. Send us some eggs, and we'll send you some milk. We'll trade you some milk for some eggs.
Yes, I saw that. Of course they would be there. Who else would be there? But anyways, Edgar Garcia from the agricultural attaché at the embassy did a great job.
Yeah.
And which, remember, last week we told you there was a trade delegation in Panama of 5 U.S. congressmen from
Correct.
Idaho, Iowa, California. These are all, farming states. So if you had to put dots together, it looks like you want to put your money in farming in Panama because there seems to be a market for it, which brings us a little fun fact. I know Willie hates when I get into these fun facts. But
No.
exports in Panama are up 22.3%. Up to
There you go.
76.9, almost $77 million. So that's a tiny amount, but still Panama, you start at the bottom and you're up to 77 million.
As long as they're trending up is what matters.
That's what matters. That's agricultural. But listen to this, Willie. Most of those exports go to 2 places. U.S., of course, and guess who the second one is? Taiwan.
Taiwan, beautiful.
Yeah.
Love to see that
China's
go back
not
up
even
again.
on the freaking list.
I know. That's what happens.
I mean, they're not even on the list. They're like maybe 5th, way down the list, right?
Right.
Anyway, so, of course, some of the key products are being shipped. If you guys want to invest in this, bananas, frozen shrimp, raw teak, which is a beautiful hardwood, really good. It's like the redwood. It's awesome. I think Panama should not do that, but they are selling it. Palm oil, raw palm oil is really big right now. That's the one that's growing. Medicine, Willie, medicine. Panama makes medicine.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Well, that's that's one thing that the United States doesn't do is pharmaceuticals. You know that where the biggest source of pharmaceuticals in the U.S. is Puerto Rico. Your former island.
No, I know that. I know for a fact. So it's Panama. Anti-asthmatic medicine.
Okay.
And, the fever reducers, I think it's called pyretic.
Okay.
Antipyretic, those are the big exporter. Of course, coffee it's on the way up. And green plantains. If you're from the Miami area, you know that the Panamanian green plantains are the ones that are selling, the big seller. Yeah. Now, on the coffee front, guys, this worldwide ranking came out last week, and La Prensa ran this, Willie. I mean, this week. Out of the top 10 coffee farms, 3 are from Panama.
Yes, that Boquete area has some super fertile coffee land. Let me tell you what. Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, that's some
Yes.
really good coffee there. I'm good and I mean I don't drink coffee. I personally can't
Oh
stand the
no?
taste of it. But
Oh, I
no,
do.
I'm not a coffee drinker at all. But
Still with leche
it's
carnation, bro. Like
yeah, no,
Panama days.
I get it, man, because my wife drinks enough coffee for the both of us, so she has me covered there. But
Oh.
I mean, everybody talks about good coffee, this, that, and the other. And when you're talking coffee that's in the thousands of dollars a pound, which obviously we're not going to drink, but nonetheless, that's what Panama's recognized for in that area. They have some
And
really world-renowned coffees.
and I don't have my Canal record close to me, but there is a guy that is buying ads on the Canal Zone record. You guys should check it out. He
Hmm.
will deliver to your house via mail, of course, a coffee from Panama.
Yeah.
Everywhere you live, you'll get coffee from Panama. So go on the
Boy, if we
Canal
could get
record.
somebody to do that with beer, man, I'd love to get myself a case of Panama beer.
Oh, I
I have to
know.
hide it
We
from my
did have
son
them
though,
for a
but
while. Yeah.
yeah, I know. I just can't find that anymore.
Yeah. Well, Willie, that is what we have on the social. Are you ready to get into some geopolitics, guys? Because we've got some
Know it.
good stuff for you.
Yes, indeed. The world is
All
a
right, let's
crazy
get right
place
into
right
it.
now.
All right, we're going to get right into it. So, everybody, we know we've been hearing it on the news. We've been hearing it on the social media. We've been hearing it, even on the gossiping conspiracy side. We've been getting it from all different directions in the last week. Because there was a lull. I remember the week before there was kind of a lull on the
Yeah.
There was, remember we even said we're not going to talk about bases.
Yeah, there wasn't a
because
whole lot going on. Everybody was kind of waiting to see what
right.
somebody else was going to do.
Well, tonight we're going to talk about 2 things: ports and bases.
Oh,
All
the
right.
ports.
So this is what
Ports are getting interesting.
Brutal. The ports have really, and it's by the minute too that it's changing. Well, anyways,
Yeah, sure
as
is.
we know, at the beginning of the week, this is all open source information. The China sent a really top delegation to Panama to go talk to Molino. Of course, it wasn't big on the news, but our think tank. We have enough people in our think tank that does enough research, and they find these things, and we get a hold of them. So we understand that some of the conversation was obviously the port deal, right?
Oh yeah.
And also about this lawsuit against the CCP, which is the people who run the ports in Panama. I haven't figured out what that lawsuit is yet, but they came to talk about it. Which Molino told them that the Supreme Court said it's a go. Sorry, I can't stop it. China was trying to get them to stop this lawsuit. And we've got a couple of people looking into what this lawsuit's all about. But the Supreme Court said, nope, we're continuing with the lawsuit.
I have a feeling it has something to do with the negotiations to acquire those rights.
I think it's outside of the ports.
It is?
Then,
okay.
Yeah. And then the third thing is that happened while they were here. Molino right away announced that China did drop their lawsuit against Panama or somebody else opening up the Corozal port. So now we know that the Corozal port is a go. They're going to build that port on the Corozal side. So it's like right after the spinning club. You guys remember the spinning club? Right past the spinning club, boom, right from there on out, it's going to be all port.
And if you recall, previously with that, one of the arguments when they said that, that China doesn't have any control and they have no say in anything, well, apparently some of their deals with that Balboa or that Pacific port was infringing on, or the Corozal port was going to infringe on it, and China was the one that was blocking that.
Blocked it. Yeah, they blocked
so
it.
They did have influence on what Panama could and could not do through whatever dealings they had prior, which may be part of what's going to be looked at. In some of these investigations.
China dropped that lawsuit,
right?
And would say now that's why the Corozal is a go. So
correct.
We know that the Chinese delegation was there and was talking to our president. Now, what has happened since that meeting? Right? China has stopped the sale of the ports, or some people say it's delaying it, which is what we're all hoping for. I mean, maybe not everybody, but at least I am. That it's just a delay, but apparently the CCP has stopped it, the sale of it. But at the same time, the Panamanian government has announced that audit is in full swing.
Yeah.
A matter of fact, Willie, as they did the audit,
Mhm.
listen to this freaking this Panama is just smart. I love my Panamanians. Listen, they discovered that the audit that was done before, like the 3 years before,
Right.
like they were auditing part of the deal. You got to audit. You're
Sure.
a socio fraud. Found fraud.
Oh,
And
no.
this guy, I'm going to call him by name because to me, and this is my total opinion, not Willie's or the show's, this guy's the biggest piece of shit of Panama. And I apologize for that dirty word. Geraldo Solis. That guy was
Salud.
the
Right.
that guy is. I'm not going to continue because that won't let me into Panama one day. Then, just kidding.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just kidding. But anyways, they found that
All of a
this.
sudden, our signal's blocked in Panama. Hey, Will, nobody can see your show in Panama.
Right, he was the comptroller before the guy that we have now. His what is his name? Anel. Shucks, his name is escaping me. But anyway, the new comptroller is like, we found all this fraud in the last audit. So what it does is that it adds another layer of, hey, maybe in other words, it complicates the Chinese side of whatever negotiation is going to come up. Because one of three things is going to happen, Willie. They're either going to cancel the concession, say, look, too much fraud, too much BS, whatever.
And you know, Ricky, what this also is doing is every time that they uncover one of these issues with fraud, you always go back to the source. It's always China. And so as much as people continue to say China's not in control here, well, listen, they may not have their name on a document, but if they keep paying everybody off that makes decisions and regulates, then they sure as hell are in control. They're just doing it through the back door. But these are the things that are being uncovered. And so, I've said this before, especially with some of my friends here that may not be the biggest fans of Donald Trump, may not like his methodology here, but the outcome, I think, is going to favor Panama. And one day many people are going to look at it and go, hey, you know what? We may not have liked the fact that he said these things and conducted it this way, but had he not done that, I think Panama was going to be in a heap of trouble, man. Honestly do.
Yes. Anel Bolo Flores. I'm sorry, Mr. Bolo Flores. Well, anyway, so that's going to complicate things from the Chinese side, Willie. Three things are going to happen. They're either going to cancel the concession, like I said, because of too much hanky panky, or they're going to cause them to renegotiate, which, like you said, Panama's going to be like, no. Right. They have the leverage.
Oh yeah, they certainly have the leverage.
Or the third one will be rebid the concessions, and then know Panama's going to benefit because people are going to overbid for those ports.
It's going to be a very, very lucrative deal.
Big way. So however you paint that picture, like we always say on this show, even though it hurts that, we have to put up with the bully and the whatnot, it's always win for the Panama
Well, and
side.
I think Panama has made their decision in general that they're going to lean towards the United States side and step away from China. And so if push comes to shove with this deal and there's just an absolutely a refusal to budge on China's part, I truly believe that where Panama's ace up their sleeve is the Supreme Court. And if they're going to figure a way to say, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, your deal was never valid to begin with. So therefore, it's like saying you bought a house and you bought it illegally, and 10 years later, even though you're living there, they judge and say, hey, you know what? You got 30 days to get out of that house. This title is null and void, and this is the new title. And that's what's going to end up happening.
Now, listen, I'm going to quote Anel Boles Flores, what he said on the news. Chinese turned the Panama Canal into a colonial enclave.
Yes,
That's
indeed they did.
From the comptroller. And they asked him, why are you now so auditing, so heavy? And this is his quote. We want to ensure efficient and transparent use of public resources as the port's growth has not translated into adequate financial returns for Panama.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Those are two quotes that I wrote down from Anel Bolo Flores. So
hard to argue. It's hard to argue that. And then you'll get people to say, well, wasn't the United States doing the same thing back in the day? And no, hardly. It was hardly that at all. There was no coercion. There was no debt trap diplomacy. There was no, if the United States gave Panama money, it was for operating the canal. It was any other kind of foreign aid, but there was no stipulations tied to it. Every loan that China has given to Panama has come with either employment, supplies, and contracts. So what China's really been doing
Telecoms,
is they've
cyber.
been double dipping. They lend you the money, you then turn around and buy their equipment, so they get the money back that way, and then they got to turn around and repay the loan, so they get the money twice. And it's just, I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
to
And these,
compare those two models is just absurd.
yes, Willie, and these audits have caused all the other ports to start paying up, man. All the taxes now.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion,
So-
right on Panama. So that's what we have on the ports, guys. But still, a lot to come. Listen, tomorrow's going to be pretty hectic in Panama, and I understand it might be some demonstrations with the mines and the Calle Seguro. But like we always say, there's other people behind these demonstrations.
Yes. They're not as organic as they want to make them sound like they
Yeah,
are.
but China is going to make a strong appeal, using all the sources they have to
Sure.
stop that port deal, because it is a big deal. It is a big deal for them. You know how the whole canal is to them in the whole world. Which brings us to bases. Now, listen. My opinion, I'm sure Willie's and the show's opinions. Listen, we don't believe there's going to be standard U.S. bases there with flags you have to check in to get in. More of anything, if you think like the Philippines, right? There used to be Subic base and
Yep.
Clark Air Base, right? And now they're called joint bases.
Correct.
So that is kind of where this show and our opinion seems to lie. It's what's coming are these joint bases.
Yes.
Now, some of the things that we've been hearing out there is jungle training school. That they're negotiating a jungle training school like they had in the past, right? Right. The
I'm
immigration.
laughing at Andrew's message there. Whopping save it, Private Panama.
I know, because he's so against us talking like this. I know,
Yes.
Andrew, but listen, Andrew, you bring a lot to us, and we do bring it all together, and we take everybody's points, and at the end, we come up with our own analytical.
But listen, Andrew has, he's got a lot of inside knowledge. Okay, Andrew has, in addition to obviously being the great canal pilot that he was also port captain at one point, right? And so he has dealings with the Navy and stuff. So this guy is he's in the know for sure, without a doubt.
He's also involved in a lot of the stuff that we're not allowed to talk about. But he's a Zonian that really cares about Panama staying the way it is, and we respect that. But there's other geopolitical things that we're talking about here now.
Yeah.
Back to the bases, these joint bases. Now we've already heard about the immigration base in Meteti, which is built, a beautiful hospital, ginormous hospital.
It's been around for a couple of years.
Yeah, some people say it looks like the Pentagon, actually, the same design. They're extending the airport, making the airport, very, very not only modern but long, for transport planes and such to land. So we've also been hearing Fort Sherman in the picture, Howard, Francfield, so maybe one of those three. Because we've heard that they want to port on the Pacific, so we've also heard that there might be one in maybe Chorrera instead of like in the canal because it's too busy, but just passed. So these are some of the things that we've been hearing about the bases that are going to come.
Yeah, and if you think about this, you go back in history with the United States and before China, there was the Soviet Union, right? And they had made inroads, obviously, in Cuba and later on in Nicaragua. And they certainly were making inroads in some places in South America. And so the whole military presence down there outside of guarding the canal in and of itself was the Southern Command, was that military outpost to then be able to provide that shield over Latin America and protection there. And as we've learned over the last few months, especially with everything going on now with China, that they've made a huge, huge effort over the last probably 10 or 12 years to in a sense, encircle the United States from Latin America, and they're making inroads. They've obviously had a lot going on with
Hey,
Venezuela for the last 10 years. They've got
wasn't
a
there a
huge
movie about that we grew up with? Wasn't that movie Red Dawn? Was it Red Dawn?
Red Dawn was a similar concept, that these people came flowing through, and so you know going back to Darien, that whole inhospitable, not passable area. Well, hell, 1.5 million people passed through there over the last 4 years,
I
walking
know,
through.
man. I was
And
like,
these weren't
what?
special forces, mind you, either. Okay, these are women and children, and whoever else. But as we're getting ready to learn, there's not going to be a need for that later on, because
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
big projects going on there that
I
may
know. Like Willie said earlier, we grew up thinking that place was the no travel zone.
couldn't cross through the
1.5
barrier.
million people like, here, hold my beer, man. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
It's part of that sleeping that the United States has been doing for the last 15 or 20 years in Latin America, and letting China just very quietly start building stuff everywhere, man. And
Well, they do it under that Brick Road Initiative. And
yeah,
it's happening
absolutely.
right, and we're going to show you guys.
Right
it's
under our
happening
nose.
Right under our noses, right next to Darien. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later. But guys, the Secretary of Defense, as we know, I think it's this week, he's doing Panama. But Willie, this is on the gossip side, because this is why it's called bochinche.
Right.
We saw this video, these two options this guy's bringing to Molino. I mean, they're pretty brutal, these two options, right? So, guys, this is what we've been hearing. There's going to be like two options put on Molino's desk. And he's kind of addressed both of them indirectly. One, they want to, United States is really convinced that China is in the upper management, of the
Without a doubt that they have influence somewhere.
Yeah. So one of the options, these two options was the U.S. and Panama run the canal, but the U.S. is going to audit how they run it. They're going to audit everything. Or the U.S. gets 3 bases. So audit or bases. Apparently, this is what the Secretary of Defense is going to be coming up. And of course,
and if we know, typical Latin America, they'll take the bases as long as they don't get audited. Too many people don't want audits.
I have a feeling that's going to be
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Well, listen, while all this talk and all this gossiping and all these speculations, a lot of things have happened that are concrete with regard to the bases.
Yeah.
One, while all this was happening, there's an agreement of a long, and I mean long-term collaboration of cooperation between Delta and the American, the Angel. I mean, what are these the special forces? The special forces air wing called?
Was it Wing Walkers or something like that?
Yeah, the wing
Warriors.
Wing Warriors. Yeah, who are the helicopter pilots for the Delta Force. So this is the best of the best, right?
Nice.
So America's best of the best is going to be training our Sena Front, our Senan. Senan is Air Force. Sena Front is Army that protects the borders. SBI, which is like Secret Service, the police force, and of course, canal security or canal protection. So there's that's the word they use, long-term collaboration agreement between Panama and the United States to provide this training. So, of course, we also know there's 200 U.S. troops stationed in Panama. I'm sure all the Panamanians already know that, but this show remembers for the Zonians, those people outside of Panama. But yes, 200 U.S. troops stationed in Panama as of right now. And if you remember, the president recently said he wants a lot of Southcom presence, a lot of U.S. presence in the canal.
Certainly.
And what have we seen lately? Navy, which we showed you last week, Navy before it came out on the news, Navy sail drones have been spotted down there in the bunches, not just one. A Coast Guard cutter making a port call.
Yeah.
And we understand, based on the new Trump, he's protecting the southern border with Army and Navy.
Sure.
Well, he's got these naval task force on the Pacific and Atlantic. Well, obviously they're going to be pushing down from the U.S. because the southern border kind of starts at Panama.
Mhm.
And so Panama, believe it or not, is going to be having destroyers making port calls in
Very
Rodman and whatnot. So that's kind of what the president meant when he wants more of a Southcom president. Now, of course, there's been, the top guy from Southcom's been down there.
Yeah.
Secretary of State's been down there. Secretary of Defense is on his way. Congressman, everybody. So there is a huge, huge presence.
Panama's getting a lot of look from the U.S.
Yes. I don't think they're going to be turning a blind eye anymore to
No,
our
of course not.
brothers in Panama.
Listen, they made their move. They announced it. Molino announced this, 6 weeks ago, that we're getting out of the Brick and Road Initiative, the Belt and Road Initiative. We're getting out of all of these things, and we are casting our lot with the United States, with our original friend and ally, brother, father, whatever you want to call that relationship. They're rekindling it again, which is what they should be doing, and so.
And we're happy about that. Yeah, we love it.
Absolutely.
Now, another of the things that have been happening that we've been talking about that are concrete is immigration. Panama has stopped immigration to 98%. We told you this last week. That obviously deserves a toast for the boys that are doing such a great job.
Right on, guys. Well done.
Because that border, I'm telling you, that's not easy stuff. And these guys are Delta trained, so they're popping up out of nowhere. And 98%.
Yeah, they ain't messing around.
Well, in my opinion, has helped a lot of the reduction in the border crossing in the U.S.
Of course it has. That was where they were all coming through. There's no other entryway. And here's the reason this was going on, guys, in case you're unfamiliar with the way this whole immigration thing was set up. The reason they were all pouring through Panama and the Darien Gap is that Brazil and Ecuador had very lax visa regulations with most countries in the world, and Venezuela to a certain extent, but Venezuela, less likely people coming through there because it's not the best country to be traveling into.
Oh, you're right, because they got to cross to Colombia.
Correct.
Right.
But Ecuador and Brazil were anybody from any country. You did not need anything but a tourist card to arrive there, and when they arrived there, they all knew to head over to the Panamanian border and then go through that magical impassable land there called Darien, and they all went right through that like it was nothing. They're like, wow, this is pretty good. And
yeah, that's nothing. Like I say, hold my beer, we'll be back.
So without a doubt, that their Panama stop and that crossing there has played a major role in the Mexican-U.S. border not being infiltrated as much. 100%.
Man. So that's Senafront.
Yeah, so right on, Panama. Well done.
Group. Yeah, the 7th Special Forces Group, our 2 Tucanos, and of course the Wing Warriors. Yes, and, of course,
and where are you going to put those Tucanos? Where would be where would they fit in Panama at airports there? Probably not Tocumen, right?
Oh,
probably not Albrook. Well, I don't know. That's a little close to the front. Could be, but I think that would be your start of that Howard Air Force Base.
Yeah, it could be, or Franceville. Now, as you guys know, last week 4 helicopters also showed up from Southcom and 2 transport planes. So there is a lot bigger U.S. presence in Panama right now.
Without a doubt.
Of course, it's for humanitarian exercises, and then Panamax, I think it's called. That military exercise they have there once every 2 years. I think that's also happening right now. So that's kind of the reason why there's a lot of big U.S. presence down there, guys.
Yep. And Yvonne, yes, absolutely. A lot of people did die traveling through there. I mean, it certainly wasn't a fun, enjoyable trip. But the point is, the amount of people that went there and the type of people that were going through there tells us that it really wasn't as impassable as they made it sound. Because, again, these people were not special forces that were running through there. There's a lot of women and children.
You're right. I apologize. I was making fun of it. It's the bear. It's the bear. It's
happy hour. Happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club.
Well, believe it or not, guys, that's what we have. You guys have any questions you want us to engage you with? Anything with the ports or the bases? Oh, by the way, that's something else we found out. Which, Willie, this is fun, hilarious. So we, during all this going on, and we've heard about the high fees and all this.
Right.
The Panama Canal Company, the ACP, just announced that they are going to have new fees, reduced fees, and that is for ships that have a low carbon low carbon footprint. So they're going to be first in line and paying less. So that makes me think, putting the dots together. And you know how Trump said, we're going to start building ships. We're going to start building ships. I put my money that all those ships are going to be low emission footprint ships.
I would think that it would make sense to do something like that anyway. And being that the United States is so far behind
Yeah.
in their merchant marine that they have to go on a major building spree. So it's conceivable that over the next 4 years, 5 years, whatever time, because once this thing starts, I don't think you're going to slow it down, that the bulk of the new ships coming into the supply chain are going to be U.S. made ships. And consequently, they're going to benefit from these new
Low
canal
emission
arrangements.
ships, which
Yeah.
get to go first
Yeah.
and pay less.
Yeah, so interesting because they had the CEO of Maersk had a recent meeting with Trump, and that was one of the things that they talked about, and Trump said it himself that the United States builds next to nothing as far as ships go nowadays, and
Yeah.
and they want to change that as well and make it another. So yeah, that might be an interesting way to do that, and who knows, maybe that's part of those when you have those Marco Rubio visits and stuff, and these guys spend hours and hours talking, and they're certainly not always talking about how cool the canal is. They're negotiating things, and they're talking about a lot of long-term projects, and that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean,
LNG vessels is the rage. Okay, LNG, that's liquefied natural gas. You know what those ships look like? If you ever seen them, you seen it looks like a cargo ship, but it has like 3 big domes right across the middle of it, big giant ones. Yeah, that's that liquefied natural gas, which is very very finicky. It's volatile, and you got to have a lot of care to transport that. And certainly, Andrew, that'll be a question to ask him when we get them on for that Panama Canal report here. Next month.
Yeah, because those guys come out of Texas and then through the canal and into Japan. Because Japan was just in Panama, finding out, hey, can you guys handle the new load? Because we're going to be buying so much more.
There is. That's a big push for natural gas now.
In Panama, and Japanese were in Panama getting all those deals done. And then the administrator went to Japan as well and did some conferences there about that. So
using LNG as fuel. There you go. Yeah. Well, listen, UPS, their entire fleet of trucks, that run around here in the United States everywhere, those are all natural gas.
Yeah.
It is becoming much more popular. It burns, it's more efficient, it's cleaner, and heck yeah, right on.
And I think U.S. leads on that, right? Well, Willie, that is our boat change segment. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was. I mean, we're still going to get into more geopolitics later on in the show, but that was the Pochinche part of our geopolitics.
Sure, no, absolutely. Well, salute to that. Certainly.
Salute, man. No, listen, thanks to all the guys that are in the think tank. That's 16 of you guys. I appreciate all the work you guys do because you help make this.
It's a lot of fun.
Informative. Very informative, guys. This is not bullshit that we make up here. We get a lot of this is all open source information, but we have access to it constantly. 4, 5, 6 articles a day. It's starting to take up a lot of my time, by the way, Willie.
Oh, it does. Let me tell you what, man. This guy, if there's something good going on, it might be 4:00 in the morning out west, but somehow Ricky's in there. I look at it, I see Ricky typing. I was like, la vida, look at this guy at 4:30 in the morning.
I got to start really early to get everything in to get my day through. But anyways, guys, thank you for putting up with my.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's good stuff, man.
My politics, geopolitics analysis of what's happening.
Ricky loves that stuff. Don't kid yourself, man. He absolutely is a big fan of geopolitics. So he's in his element here, man. He's in hog heaven, as they say. So, but now let's go into your other contractual obligation, as you like to say, and celebrate some birthdays and move along here.
Like always, I like to start with our class of '81, which we have a few on our show tonight, and very special happy birthday to Mark Cicero. Mark, because we love you so much.
Yes.
All the time. You
Panama Days. I think we'll end the show tonight with Panama Days.
Yeah, and he's got some pretty cool brothers, man. That's what I'm
happy birthday to you, Mark. For sure.
Cool brothers, man.
Absolutely. Salute, Mark. Happy birthday, bro.
I got a funny story with Jimmy Cicero. So I'm at the sorry guys that I'm telling stalking story, but this is a good Cicero story. And this is like 5 years ago at the reunion, right? The class of '79 was having their 30th, 35th, whatever it was, 5, 6 years ago. And so Kenny Morris has all this big cooler full of champagne, right? Okay. And he gives Jimmy Cicero and me the task of opening them. So we're like, oh yeah, we can do that, no problem. You
Of
know, there's like
course.
25 bottles in there. So of course we opened all 25 bottles.
Oh no!
And of course we drank 5 of them, right?
Right, of course.
Oh yeah, that was our job. Pop,
Oh wow!
So yeah, that was my Jimmy story. So Jimmy, right on, man. Kenny was
Way to
pretty
go.
upset about that.
I
But
can imagine.
mimosas for everybody. I think the next day is what they did with that champagne.
Yeah. Class of 81, 82, 84, 92. Everybody drink. We got booze for
Oh
everybody.
yeah, that was something like that. That was anyway. So happy birthday to Mark Cicero,
Yes.
and thanks a lot, Trina Herring. Beautiful, beautiful Trina Herring. Happy birthday, Curtis Rivet, cousin of Jerry Curtis. Happy birthday, Curtis. The beautiful Laura Reinhardt. Happy birthday, Laura. Richard Dickey Horn, who was a very good baseball catcher.
Sure was.
He was a McCall, by
He
the way.
was. Yes.
His birthday's on the 2nd. So we want to celebrate everybody up until the 2nd of
Okay. Yeah, Ricky's likes to sneak him in there. He arbitrarily switches the dates on it, but he's got.
But don't forget about it. That's what happens with the Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah,
birthday
that's
people.
true.
Like Andrew. That's why we forgot Andrew, because he was like a
That's
Monday.
very true. That's very
And then
true.
we started on Wednesday, and we forgot the Tuesday people. So
Yeah.
Susan Downs, I want to always say happy birthday to her. Listen, she was quiet out of Oklahoma. She's from Oklahoma. But she was on the ROTC, the marching guys.
Oh, right on.
The saber, the swords and the
Sure, the saber.
Yeah, she was one of those.
Oh, that's cool.
Right on. Susan Downs, happy birthday to you. All right, moving on with all the rest of our Zonians. Frank Hoover, happy birthday, Mr. Frank.
Class of 86, Atlantic Cider, Frankie Hoover. Happy birthday.
Oh, right on. Crystal,
Yep.
we love Crystal here. Larry
Tartaglia.
Tartaglia.
Yes.
I always butcher people's name here, man. The great Stevie Gare. Stevie.
Yes, absolutely.
We've been talking about Stevie Gare like 3 weeks in a row now. This guy's
Yeah,
been on all our conversations.
He's somehow sneaking in, man. He just keeps popping into the
Yeah, we need
somewhere.
to bring him into the show because wow, we talk a lot about him. The beautiful Miss Donnell Alberton.
Yes.
Happy birthday to her. Derek Reyes. I love that young man.
Yes,
Happy
Derek
birthday,
Reyes. Happy
Derek.
birthday, brother.
Yes. Russell Leeser out of Kurundu. Happy
Yes.
birthday, Russell.
Kurundu.
Yes. The great Freddie Pinier.
Oh, yes, right on.
Yes, Freddie, man. Right on. Happy birthday.
Yes.
And this is to a beloved, he has passed now, but a beloved Sonian, and I know a lot of you guys will agree with this, Aha Livingston.
Yeah.
What a great, out of Cristobal, great human being, great political guy. That's why him and I always chit-chatted when we started, when the whole Facebook thing started. One of my good friends, good guy. I miss that guy.
Yeah.
Lori Nickisher, happy birthday.
Yes,
Lori.
happy birthday, Lori.
Yes.
Right on.
Olga Myers, happy birthday, Miss Olga. Oh, my very, very good friend, Billy Sullivan, class of 82. I grew up with him too, my whole life.
That's right.
Whole life. Played everything, every sport you can think of with Billy Sullivan on my team.
Yeah.
Christian Lively, one of the last of the Mohican Zonians, class of 94.
Mm-hmm.
Christine, you're one of the last ones. Happy birthday to you, girl. Oh, the very, 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 very eloquent, passionate Blair Bates. If you guys haven't seen his YouTube describing the Canal Zone,
Yes.
this guy is
Great video.
some passion talking about
Yeah,
that.
he does.
zone.
That was really cool. That was one of the early versions of a Zonian video, and
Very
stuff out
eloquent
there.
too.
Yeah, well
very
done,
eloquent.
really well done. It's on YouTube. Look it up, guys.
Yeah, look it up, guys. It's worth it. Class of 87. And those 87s are all right too, man. 89s
they're
are
pretty
good
good.
class, but 87s are all right.
Yeah.
Annette McConnell Goff. Happy
Yeah.
birthday, Annette.
Class of 84. Yeah.
Beautiful eyes. And the very lovely Sheila Sperling, Cristobal High School.
Yeah, another Atlantic cider.
Another last
Absolutely.
Cecilia Reed, happy birthday to you, Cecilia. You're 77, I believe.
Birthday.
Even though Willie and I keep saying we're not going to mention your birthdays, but we just love you.
Yeah, I notice how he says we just. I'm like, I don't know about this we.
Right, Willie. Me. And the great David Cohen, who's a tugboat pilot today. in
Yes.
Canal.
Yep, his
Yeah.
birthday's coming up in a couple of days. Absolutely, and
Well,
he's going to
happy
be joining
birthday.
us along with Captain Andrew Eftimitis on our next Panama Canal report, along with Jim Duffus. To talk about a Gatun transit. Been trying to get a hold of Jim Krupinski, but I haven't been able to get a hold of him. So if anybody knows how to get a hold of him, let me know. Him and I talked several months ago, and he was a marine traffic control on the Atlantic side. So, with the four of them, I think it'd be a really cool segment on that entire transit through the Gatun locks, where from the ship pilot's perspective, the tugboat pilot's perspective, the the lock handler down the ground, their perspective, the marine traffic control. I think it'd make a fascinating segment. So if somebody can get
Yeah.
a hold of him or someone else that did marine traffic control on the Atlantic side, if it's not Pacific side, of work just as great. But otherwise, you know, that would love to get that piece in there to get them included. So
And the exhibition this weekend is about those guys too, the guys that
yeah,
you just mentioned.
correct,
Their jobs.
correct.
Well, that's about it. For
Yes. Yep, there you go. That's that. Well, we have one more birthday, which is a very special
oh,
birthday for
last but
myself.
not
Yes, we
least,
have it last but not least, which is and this one it definitely is a special birthday because this is the one that made me a dad. So tomorrow is my daughter Taylor's birthday. So happy birthday, Punky. Yeah, happy birthday indeed, Taylor. Hope you have a wonderful birthday, and everybody else, happy birthday. And oh, we got a what is
what
that?
do we have? We have the Panama segment coming up now.
Oh, look at that! Somehow we had a doorbell there. I'm not sure where that came from, but yeah.
No,
So
what it is. I got a new laptop, so now I can play with all the cool stuff on this platform. So
all the
before,
bells and
guys,
whistles.
before my laptop, anything I would touch, I would black out, and then that's why a lot of times you saw me just freeze there, going, when am I going to come back
Right?
up?
Yeah.
Well, I upgraded my laptop. I've got all the resources now,
And
so now I can
that's
play
yes.
with all the cool stuff like. Are we
Look at this
ready?
guy. There you go. Right? How about this one?
Guys, you're right. Sorry, guys, I just got a new toy.
And,
So
and this is and listen. In fact, his computer is so new that when he turns it on, it sounds like this. Every time he starts it up, that's what he hears. It's incredible. It's
We're learning,
amazing.
guys. We're learning how to use our platform. We spent a lot
Right?
of money on this platform,
Yes.
and we're gonna start getting it to use all the features.
It does. This thing has a lot of cool features. So, and then,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
The
just fun to
phone
play
one's
with.
coming
So
up. The phone one
it
is
is.
coming up,
Yeah.
and you guys will be able to call us and we can chit chat.
Yes, yes, we are definitely. That is in the works. I finally found a way to get that where you guys can come through. I tested a little bit. It was still a little bit glitchy, but there's a couple of things I'll get done with that. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, Jill. Appreciate that. Yes, that's my punky Taylor Joy, who's now also made me a grandfather, and she's
Oh, right on. Oh yeah, of
yes,
course. He's our good luck charm. We always kiss him before
yes,
we get on the
that's
show.
right. That's right, little
Right
Jude.
before we get on, he
So,
comes and gives Willie a kiss. So that's
he
kind of cool.
does. It's awesome. It's awesome. So yes, you're very welcome, Mark. Thank you for coming up with that great Panama Day song, man, and quite a few other songs. I mean, this is now becoming his thing, guys. He's setting up a YouTube channel. He's on all the music streaming sites, the Spotify's, the iTunes, etc. So definitely check him out. There is another Mark Sisser out there, so make sure you get the right one. But he's got, of course, Panama Days and quite a few other really, really cool tunes. So right on, dude. Enjoy it. Happy birthday to you, man. It's a great option. Right. Cool. So anyway, moving right along there. Yeah, let's go ahead and get talking about some Panama stuff. Because we do have a little bit of stuff. Although we've run kind of long, and so this is going to be a very short segment. But like I said,
Ooh, wow.
this is
That
I
is
know.
121.
I know.
Oh my God. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, and we are trying to be mindful. That is one thing we do get on our feedback and stuff is, that although some of the shows are a lot of fun and we get caught up in the moment, I always, reference Al Sprague, and heck, he was on 3 hours plus, but
We're 1 hour,
it does get
22
long,
minutes.
so, but we are
Sorry.
going to tease a little bit of Panama. And in this case, again, tease some of that Darien area because of the guests that we have coming on here. And Darien is again, it's an area that's been talked about a lot when it comes to Panama.
U.S.
And
bases,
right,
immigration,
absolutely. And
so much going on through the Pan American Highway. And Willie, let's get started.
yeah, absolutely. Let's
I,
go ahead and do our thing
yeah,
here and get started with our Panama show, which is our Made in Panama show, which tells us a lot about these things. We haven't done this in a while, so it's going to be kind of fun to kick it off here. But again, a little bit of a tease for an upcoming show for you guys.
Guapín Colón, hola Panamá, Chiriquí, Chorrera y Chitré. Si hay un lugar que quiero volver, siempre será Panamá. Panameña, 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 vida mía, yo quiero que tú me lleves. El que parpadea pierde.
El que parpadea pierde. Oh no, we've created a monster here now, man. Lord have mercy. We're gonna get sound effects for everything now. But, and let's have a round of applause for that great applause. Hey, excellent. All right, that's gonna become eventually, man. But no, anyway, listen, guys. So our Made in Panama segment is it's kind of an informal way of talking about Panama itself. You know, Ricky has the Bochincha segment, but that's more so of current events, what's going on in the news. You know, and again, a lot of the geopolitic piece of it, because Panama is a crossroads. It's not just a U.S. Panama thing, a U.S. China thing. It's South America, and Colombia has certainly had issues with Panama in the past, and recently again they've been in a little bit of some ruffling of feathers there. Certainly Venezuela is an issue as well. But we've always considered Darien that place that's impregnable, and so I think there's always been a sense of security there, maybe a false sense of security. Who knows that we don't have to put as much on that side on, I guess for Panama is their eastern front, right, or their eastern border, because Darien made a natural border. But like I said, we've saw over the last 4 years it wasn't that impregnable. So, but we're going to learn a lot about what Darien is all about. It's still very much a mystery to a lot of us what goes on in Darien,
it
and
looks like.
exactly what it looks like. Most of us, I would venture to say that the vast majority of Zonians and Americans that lived in Panama, their knowledge of Eastern Panama ended at Tocumen Airport.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
anything past
As far
that,
as I went.
no idea. You knew that road went around the side of the airport there, and I think what Chepo was the next, I guess, big town after Tocumen,
Goofy Falls, right past that. I think that's
and
as
that
far
was
as
it.
you can.
After that,
Yeah.
it was a wilderness as far as we're concerned, and so to this day, a lot of us don't know what that really looks like, or what it, how these people came through there in those amounts, and if it's not what we've claimed it is. So we'll learn about that, but also learn some other history of it, because the bulk of that we're going to learn in a couple of weeks when these guys are on, because they've been out there. There's a video which I'll tease probably next week or the week after when we start promoting that show. But this guy Michael Yon has he has what's called a Substack, which is he puts out a blog. It's a subscription blog. It's really, really interesting. But you can find him on X. You can find him on Instagram. Michael, Yon is the last name, Yon. But he spent a lot of time in Darien. And Matt Tomlin has spent a lot of time with him. In fact, on one of his videos, he's filming right where they're building that big giant bridge that's supposedly not there. And he's like, and there with a hat on is Matt Tomlin. And he's walking right in front of him, and they're going to tell us what all that's like, and what the roads are like, and how you get out there, and how long it takes, and all that great stuff. But in the meantime, let's learn about the
The
Darien
province.
province and
Yeah,
what it's all about. Because if there's a historical, truly old and historical province for Panama, it's Darien. Okay. I
correct.
mean, it may not have been the first place that Columbus landed, but as far as establishing uh, cities or areas, that was one of the first ones. Okay. We know that Balboa, when he crossed the Darien province and he discovered the Pacific Ocean, which is really is a misnomer, because in his mind, and for really almost 100 years after, they all believe that he discovered the Southern Sea. All right. And if you think about it, Panama is the only country in the Americas, the Western Hemisphere, outside of the Caribbean, of course, but the Western Hemisphere is pretty much on a north-south trajectory. right? From Canada, the United States, Mexico. It veers a little, southeast, but everything heads south until you hit the Costa Rica Panama border. And then it's a sudden turn and it goes directly east. I mean, it does have a
Correct.
bit of a snaking pattern, but if you look at the two crossing points, the two borders for Panama, they're basically east west of each other. And so it made sense that everything went south, that they looked at that area there as the South Sea, the Southern Sea, and it was named that for almost 100 years. You know, the very first Western name given to anything, any feature, any location, any land formation or whatever in the Americas was the Gulf of San Miguel. That was done by Balboa when he discovered, what we now know the Pacific, but at that time was the Southern Ocean. There's a guy by the last name of Arauz. Look him up on YouTube. He has a really amazing YouTube video about cartography and maps of Panama and Darien province in particular. And it's really fascinating. I watched that and I learned a lot from that when I was doing some earlier research on some of this stuff. And great guy too, by the way, Norman. I believe it's Norman Arauz is his name. But him and I corresponded a little bit. He's the one that put me in touch with the Library of Congress to find a map that I needed for that construction project that I'm working on, because there was a 3-part map series that was really, really awesome. It really had all the topography that I needed prior to the canal being built for that canal zone area, the survey. But the Library of Congress only had 2 of the 3 up on their website. And he gave me a number to call. I called them, and they actually went and found it. They sent me an email going, "Hey, we found the other map. We digitized it. Here it is for you." So, really, really cool stuff. If you ever get a chance, check them out, because if you're into anything about cartography and maps, this guy will tell a fascinating story. He's from Panama, and but it's all in English, of course. But really, really cool and great guy to correspond to. He's also on Facebook. You can find him on there as well. But a couple of interesting things about Darien. It's the easternmost province. It's the largest in land mass, but
Mhm.
it's the lowest in population, obviously, right? So a couple of interesting things that I learned about that one. The name Darien originates from a language spoken by the Cueva Indians, Cueva. Unfortunately, that tribe was pretty much wiped out early on by European settlers, namely the Spanish when they came in. But that's where the Darien name came from. And so again, it was one of the early provinces. It actually, if you look at it on the map, it seems to go from the Atlantic to the Pacific, but it really doesn't. On the Atlantic side, it's bordered by the the Gunayala province, right? That borders the whole thing there. Then it goes to Colombia, and then of course it is on the Pacific side. But interesting thing about it, it was the province itself was founded in 1822, so quite a bit later. When everything had happened there, because we're talking what 1600s, 1500s that the Spanish were there and moving a lot of stuff there. Uh, Also in the 1600s, in the late 1600s, in 1699, the Scottish tried to establish a
Oh
colony there.
yes, that's true.
In fact, you think of in Panama City, one of the names that you used to remember back in the day living in the zone, where you could go do a lot of shopping, was Caledonia. Okay, Caledonia is the Spanish version of the name Caledonia, and if you know your history, Caledonia is a United Kingdom term. It's a Scottish term, and so they
Mm,
formed this new colony called New Caledonia down in the Darien province.
that's
Um,
right. That's right.
they tried to do
Yes.
it twice. They sent like 5 ships the first time, and they established themselves down there. They fought the Spanish, because the Spaniards, remember, they had already been in that area which we now know as Panama, and so they pushed back on them. They actually formed a pact with one of the indigenous tribes, but it wasn't enough. The disease ultimately took care of them. The few that were left ended up leaving and going to Jamaica. But then a year later, they tried one more time, and pretty much the same results. In fact, a little bit worse, and now the Spanish had really built up a force, and they're like, the hell, you're not coming here and establishing anything. This is all of
Mhm.
our land, and so they wiped them out. But you always ended up with that Scottish legacy of Caledonia and the name in Panama, which you don't associate it with, but when you think about it, it's kind of cool that even the Scottish played an influence in Panama and in their names and stuff. But they try to do something there, and again, it's proven to be very inhospitable, that area. Couple other things that we learned about them, just looking up some information there. Um, in 1510 they founded a city up on that northern isthmus, again one of the first settlements on the mainland of the Western Hemisphere was Nombre de Dios. And
Nombre
that
de
stayed
Dios.
around. If you recall, Alex Reyes has a great song. Shorty and Slim have a great song, and they talk about Nombre de Dios, a very historical song, which is really cool. But yeah, that's where that was founded from. Again by Balboa. As we know, Balboa ended up having quite the tragic end to his life. There was a bit of a power struggle, and the guy that wanted power accused him of a bunch of things, and he had the people behind him. And it's not like you're going to say, well, we'll wait to see what the king says in Madrid, because that'll take 6 months. So they're like, no, we've got the authority to do this. I'm now in charge. You're guilty, and off with your head. And that's the demise. And it turns out it was all bogus. It was all for a power struggle to begin with. But you know, nonetheless, think of the influence that this guy had. Certainly for us in the zone, our seat of government for the Canal Zone, and where most of us grew up on the Pacific side, was Balboa, right? And the Panamanian currency to this day is the Balboa. So it's played a big role. He is recognized as the person that discovered the Pacific Ocean, and heck, all the way up there in your neck of the woods, Ricky. I mean, in Southern California, right? In San Diego, don't they have Balboa is really
Yeah.
big there? There is in fact a Balboa High School. A lot of times when you look on Facebook, when I go to look up some different classes and stuff, and I type in Balboa High School, never fails that the one in California comes up as well. I'm like, I don't want that.
Yeah, there's one in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's a big name. That name carries a lot of weight throughout the Americas, and even though he wasn't around there very long, and he came to a demise there, but
Yeah,
but
and guys, when Willie says he discovered the Pacific Ocean, we mean, because I always also agree to this, he discovered it for the Europeans. He
correct.
didn't discover it like for the world. He discovered
No,
it
of course, of course. I mean, there's a lot of people that used it to come down that way to begin with. But as far as the Europeans go, they had always heard from a lot of the natives in the area that there's a big body of water down there, and so like I said, when he discovered it, everything pointed south. And, if they went in either direction along the coast there, they were going east-west, because that's the way Panama is. It's got that east-west trajectory. And so it made sense that was the Southern Sea. And it was called that for a long, long time after, even though at some point they finally officially said, hey, this is all the Pacific Ocean, man. And so nonetheless, that's Darien. Again, guys, just a bit of a teaser. There's a couple other things that I found kind of interesting that are a little bit more towards today's time frame and stuff. As far as the geography and everything, it's about the size of Jamaica, I guess. If you're,
wow, that is big.
So it's a definitely good. Like I said, it's the largest province in Panama, but the most sparsely populated. Interesting climate here, right? And maybe we'll throw this out in the chat there, as far as rain goes, because obviously Panama is known as being part of the rainforest, but technically there's a little bit different of a name there. But there is one section in that province that their precipitation is extreme. Anybody want to take a guess how many inches a year it rains there? It'll just blow your mind how much that unbelievable. 45. If only it's
Really?
it's quite a bit more. But rainfall on average in Darien reaches between 67 to 79 inches per year. Okay, check out their dry season. In Darien, the dry season is marked by a period between January to April, so it's not that long either. It's more like they call it a tropical savanna climate. But again, in the foothills and in some of the valleys and the interiors, rain, check this out now, rain can exceed 310 inches a year. That's insane.
That's 30-story high building.
Right. I mean, that
Wait,
is a
30 inches.
lot
No,
of
that's
water.
feet. That's feet. Sorry, that's feet.
Right,
30 inches. Yeah.
But still, 300 inches that's still a lot of water, right?
The beer.
Because it's not. Yeah, the beer's doing you wonders there, man. Here, have another one. Salud, papa. But no, that's a lot of water. That is a ton of water coming down.
A ton of water.
And so again, there was a lot of times that it was very impassable in a lot of those areas. But nonetheless,
of Darien?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I actually have something. And this is kind of interesting. This is more along the lines of what what we were talking about earlier with regards to. Hold on, why is it that? It's a PDF. It should open. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. So, we're talking about how impassable some of these areas are and how remote it is. When you look at the map of Darien and of Panama in general, it's pretty amazing. Where the hell did it go? I just had this thing up. What the hell? But I mean, it's extremely large landmass. I mean, extremely large land. Here it is. And one of the things that there it is. Perfect. Okay. Let me share this screen. All right. And let's add it to our scene there. Let's go to this one. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is our winging it again kind of thing, right? We'll get it
No, we're
figured.
going to learn this. We're going to get this right. How to use this thing. I think got to move it over from editor to live preview.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, so here's Darien, right? And this is this is a Panama, and the red circle is actually where we're talking about those bridges. That's why I was showing that to you. But um, you know, if you think about Panama City itself, you're looking at an area, around the canal. Obviously, we can see, Gatun Lake here on towards the center a bit on the left hand side, but if you think about the length of the canal, it's 50 miles. So if you were to lay that down from the Pacific entrance, lay it down east, and then you think of where Darien is compared to that, it's still 4 or 5 more canal lengths away. It is, I mean, the vast majority of the country on the east is it's more than half the country. If you were to split the canal as being,
Yes.
the divider, which technically it is, right? The land
But
divided the world united.
everybody lives to the left of the canal, basically.
Yeah, and it's always been interesting that in Panama's history, all their population is west of Panama City, west of Colón, west of Nombre de Dios, and all that area, and everything to the east has pretty much been very isolated. So, this next picture going into that town area there, again, if you look up here, you zoom in, you see where that whole inlet, that's that Gulf of San Miguel, which was, again, the very first place in the Western Hemisphere that received a European name, which was the Gulf of San Miguel from Balboa discovering it. But along the end of that river there, as we get a little closer here, we start seeing the end of that river there. That body of water on the right side there, that's the Gulf of, what do they call that Gulf? Some people call it the Gulf of Darien, but that's the area that's the Colombian border. That's where a lot of your Venezuelans were coming into towns there and catching boats going across that
Turbos in that area.
and turbos in there. Correct,
Yeah.
yes. And from there they would make their way across into Darien, and then through there into Panama and up through Central
Yeah,
America.
right around where that circle is where the Pan American Highway ends.
Correct. And that's what I'm zooming into here. As you can see a little closer now. And if you look up to the northwest, I guess you could say, on the map there, you can see where the road is actually shown, because that's a perfectly straight line. That's certainly not a natural one.
Correct.
But as you see there, right in the middle of that circle, there's a little tiny town there. Okay. And then, so this next one is going to show you that town up close. That is a town called, I believe it's called Pinagua, if I'm not mistaken. Here, I'll just tell you exactly what it is. It is, yes, Pinagua. That town there is at the end of that river, and where that circle is, it doesn't show it on this map, but we'll learn this from Michael Yon and from Matt Tomlett when they join us in 2 weeks. This is where they're building this major bridge crossing this river. Apparently, this river has been one of the natural barriers to crossing through, the Darien in mass, I guess. And so we're going to learn about that. It's something that the Panamanians are aware of. We just recently started finding out about this, and Ricky and I thought that we had this cool, like, oh my God, look at this road being built.
I know.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we talked to people in Panama, like, yeah, it's been going on for a few years, man. So, but there is some interesting takes on it, right? Some people look at it and say, hey, this is great progress, right? You're opening up a highway that's completing the Pan American Highway. So, prior to all these different issues and geopolitical issues we thought about, everybody thought, wow, what a great idea, a highway from Alaska to Chile, and when are they going to complete the little strip there in Panama? So they're working on that here. That's probably a good thing. But again, recent history of who's been transiting that area tells us that, man, if they could get that many people through on foot and through some treacherous areas, you put a big highway through there and big major bridges crossing all those rivers, there's a lot more people that can go through there. one of the other concerns they talk about here is that, Darien, it's interesting if we go back to this map up here, right, for example, and you look at that whole area, it looks green, it looks like a bunch of grass. Obviously, as we know from living down there, that's all jungle, okay?
That's
And
that thick jungle. Yeah.
absolutely, but it's also very valuable wood.
Oh yeah. Oh, a lot of natural resources.
And
They've
as
been
long
found petroleum up in that area.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
minerals there as well, and stuff. And obviously, we know that Panama has copper, in their land, not in this area, but it's much further west. But one of the concerns is as you bring in and have access, and that type of highway access where you can have big, heavy equipment, you know, get ready for deforestation because you can start cutting down trees and shipping them out. And there's valuable wood. Remember Cocobolo wood. Remember the balsa wood is there's a lot of balsa wood that
Teak.
comes out of that area.
Teak.
Yeah. So that's another concern about having that. I don't think you can stop progress. I think it was a matter of time before that highway was going to be completed. But there's a lot of different interesting positions
Wait,
on.
time out. We got to be careful because when they say completed, the government hasn't approved yet to complete the road.
No, they haven't. You're right. I'm just saying it's a matter of time.
They have agreed to put a railroad. So if you
Yes.
put a railroad, a road comes immediately afterwards. But a railroad has been approved by the president to connect. Because Colombia right now presently is doing a what they call dry canal project, and maybe Willie can point it out from where to where, from Turbo all the way to the. Maybe you can just point it out with your from there.
Yeah, it's supposed to go down the length of this because and this actually back in the day was again one of the areas that they were suggesting maybe a canal, because of the access there. But
so they're going to put a big railroad, which that started like in 2019. It's part of the BR, the Belt Road Initiative, a Chinese funded project. I think it's even got a name like second railroad project.
Right,
and that's to connect the Pacific to the Atlantic, and it's out of the 5 crossings across the isthmus. We've talked about several of them. The Colombian Rail is the cheapest one.
Correct.
It's $1.5 billion to build this, and it's only going to move 300 TEUs. Just to give you an example of how small that is, if you built a 4th set of locks in Panama for between $5 and $7 billion, you can move 8.2 million TEUs. So it's kind of like a waste of money, really. But anyways, they're doing this railroad, and then I guess what the Panamanian government and the Colombian government want to do is, if that railroad goes north and south, they want to build a railroad that goes east and west, but from Medellin. Because if you know where Medellin is on the map, maybe Willie can show you. It's like on the almost directly across where Medellin is. Where they're going to put a railroad and a highway and railroad going all the way across.
Yeah, once you build a railroad, the highway will follow it.
Yeah, and then we already know Panama's building a railroad from Panama to David, so perhaps there'll be another railroad that connects.
Yeah, it makes sense. At some point, progress will catch up, and that stuff will be done. There's no ands, if or buts about it. Again, there are just some concerns of what else this could open up to, right? The northern part of South America has been someone could call it an unstable area for a long time. Venezuela is certainly that. Right now, Colombia for many, many years up until recent history has been very unstable. And listen, they're not fully cleaned up there yet, right? There's still a lot of Colombian guerrilla groups that are
it's the Wild West there.
Yeah, so
I mean, all the drug lords are down there. All those Netflix shows that we watch,
right?
That's that area,
100%. And so,
which I need to plug something real quick brings us to this Zonian book by Steve Tuckerman. And I know a good crazy plug, but listen, you guys, I'm going to start reading.
Good timing.
Great timing. It's his book. It's called Final Flight.
Yes.
Queen of Air, a true crime story. And if you guys watch those Netflix things, all the Cessna planes going over carrying the drugs and that whatnot. Well, that's what this book's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steve Tuckerman, Zonian. So if you
And
can
he'll
get
be
up,
joining us on the 11th. You know, when we're having Matt Tomlin and Michael
Oh,
Yon
right
joining us. He'll
on.
be joining us to talk about his book. You know,
Yes.
Steve has had 36 years with the FAA as an investigator, so he does bring some background knowledge to this. You know, it's a fiction book, but it's based on a true story. So no, it's not a fiction book. Then you can't have it. Can't have both ways, I guess. But yeah, Steve was very gracious enough to send both Ricky and I a copy of that book to read, and along with a very cool T-shirt, you know, and
Scoochie.
the Scoochie. I have it in the kitchen, but no, I'm really looking forward to talking about that. That's going to be a really cool
Yes.
story, which plays right into this whole thing here
Into
because
this whole story.
that, you know, I mean, you go back to Noriega. I mean, all that stuff was
All
all
that
going on
stuff
right through
in
Panama.
that area, yes. And
Yeah.
now they're building bridges, railroads, towns are growing,
Yep. So it's
natural
going to be interesting.
resources are being exploited. Wow,
Without a
area
doubt,
is
it's
going to
going to be
be
an interesting story. And like Juan Thompson saying, deforestation is a serious problem. It actually is already. It's a big problem. But now, when you give so much more access, especially in an area which is still remote, right? You know,
yeah.
typically when that stuff breaks on the news, it's when someone's like, "Oh my God, look, there's 10,000 acres have been cut down, and nobody
Well,
realized it because you're not out there."
they have a really good minister of
Yes,
environment, whatever it's called. Um,
absolutely.
Juan Navarro. Oh, I love that guy. He's doing a great job. Yes, Willie. Why don't we
And
show
don't
the
think that a
audience
military
where?
base out there, like you say in Meteti, couldn't maybe have some
Yes, let's
drones
show
flying
where.
around and patrol that sky.
Correct. I mean, our wing warriors are there. Listen, show us
Yeah.
where Meteti is, so we have an idea.
I honestly am not sure where it is. In all
Well,
honesty,
maybe our audience can help us.
yeah. So
Where Meteti
I'm
is.
not sure in relation to all this. In fact, it's funny. I wasn't even sure where the mine was, that copper mine. I thought it was in that area somewhere as well. Turns out that's on the Atlantic
Cocle.
side, close to Cocle in that area. In fact, the easiest way to get to the mine is on a road from Penonome, heading north, and that's how you get to the mine.
Yeah,
I always thought it was somewhere out east because, again, you assume these things, you know, that's like you say, the Wild West out there, and who knows what was going on. But it turns out, no, that was in the other direction. So nonetheless, that's
Meteti.
we will
I would
find
say
out.
it's
I'll
in
tell
the
you what,
middle somewhere.
we're going to find out on the 11th, because if anybody knows exactly where it is and how to get there, it's going to be the folks that are joining us, right? They'll be able to tell us exactly, because
I'm sure Panamanians know how to get there.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure it's not
But then I don't. I have no idea. I don't
yeah,
have
neither one of us do.
I would guess somewhere in the middle, right?
Probably.
Smack in the middle. Yeah,
I would think so. Yeah,
that would be like a good spot to put a base.
That would make sense. But
Like
anyway, again, that's for the 11th. Remember, guys, we got another great show coming up next week, and here we'll go ahead and end this thing with a great tune here, for, Panama Days. This is Mark Cicero's tune. So, but listen, guys,
this is a fun show, Willie. Man, I enjoy this show.
This was a lot of fun. Here's the funny thing is, in all honesty, and if maybe you could tell that we kind of winged it a little bit tonight. We got on before, like we didn't do as much pre-shows we wanted to, but we pulled it off.
We're not winging anything, all right? 56 shows, we're not winging.
Yeah, no, this one did turn out pretty good. We didn't have anybody on tonight, which is fine. I enjoyed just having us chit chat and whatnot. But next week, don't forget, guys, first of the month, Dave Dahlstrom, our Canal Zone historian, is going to give you some Canal Zone history. Which then, of course, the following week we'll have Steve Tochterman talking about his book, and we're going to have Matt Tomlin and Michael Yon talking about that whole Darien province, everything we learned today, to find out what that's all about. So a lot of great shows coming up this month. We got middle of the month, Rudy Waller's going to be joining us. He's doing some great things with El Valle baseball. And then we've got, like I said, the 25th of April, we've got that Panama Canal report, that Gatun Transit programmed in there. Coming up in May, Nordia Garcia is joining us for some Panama Railroad history, which is going to be a lot of fun. Middle of the month, we're going to have Richard MacArthur and Pedro Peñaver joining us. So if you've got any questions about relocating to Panama, great opportunity.
We should have a rock and roll show and bring back our favorite musician from Casca.
Absolutely. Well, not only that, but Mark Ross. Okay, his
and
dad.
Mark
His dad was part of Wolf, which is an iconic Canal Zone band, and Mark is still big time in the music industry. So it's going to be fun having him on. Quite a few other people, guys. We're going to get a couple of music shows going because those really are a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of musicians, James Slater, Zonian from Class of '76, and this guy is a Grammy-nominated artist, and he's wrote songs for some of the biggest acts out there in country music. He's going to be joining us, so yeah, good call on that, Ricky. We got to get that going either late May or early June. Get that one in the books as well. So,
and then right after that, reunion. Oh
yes,
my God,
and then our reunion's coming up again. Which, by the way, I got to get registered and set up for that as well, so we can.
Oh my God! Did I send my money?
Yeah, I know, right? We got to get ready for it.
We did get an ad, but oh my God.
Yeah, I got to get that into Kathy as well. So, but anyhow,
coming
guys,
tomorrow.
listen, awesome show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for all the chats out there. It was great seeing everybody again as we do on Friday nights. But looking forward to some really cool shows. Again, to my daughter, happy birthday, Punky. Love you. Have yourself a great weekend. And you guys, thank you for tuning us. Have yourselves an awesome weekend as well. Ricky, man, get us out of here, man.
Hey guys, thanks especially for all the first-time viewers. I appreciate you guys very much. And listen, guys, we do it because you guys bring so much love to this show. This is why we do this. 56 shows.
Nice.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much, guys.
Absolutely.
See you next week.
Everybody, have yourselves an awesome weekend. We'll see you next Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Happy hour.